Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Great LeadHERship Awakening Virtual Summit. It has already been an action-packed week, and I'm so grateful for those of you that are joining us live, and hello to those of you who are catching us on the replay. I am Kayleigh O'Keefe, and I'm the founder of Soul Excellence Publishing, the publisher of the Great LeadHERship Awakening, and your host for the week. I also host a podcast called The Future is Human, where I explore upgrading our human operating system and really connecting back into mind, body, and soul excellence. And I'm also the CEO of Feminine Mastery, which is a global community of women all exploring their inner awakening. And it's a business that was entrusted to me by my late mentor, Cindy Lovin Fullenkamp, last year. So I stay pretty busy, and I am so excited to welcome you to day 2 of this beautiful experience and to bring you a little bit closer into my world and give you what you need today energetically to connect back into your divine feminine essence, but truly your inner sense of purpose, meaning, and soul. Now, despite all of these things that I'm doing right now in life, just 5 years ago, I was the director of customer success for a company called SnapDocs in San Francisco. We were a fast growth tech company in the real estate, or the company still is fast growth in the real estate technology space. And I had joined somewhat on a whim after 8 years in management consulting. I knew living in San Francisco at the time that I would look back at my life at 90 years old and say, wait a second, like you were in San Francisco in 2012, which is when I moved there from DC, but you didn't even know a software engineer. And so that prompted my decision to join the tech space. And after a year and a half of go, go, go at that company, as we expanded from 15 employees to 50, and as I closed our first ever contract, which was a $4 million ARR contract, I came out of the room once we signed that deal into our office, and my coworker Wes was playing the song "A Milli" by Lil Wayne, like to signify this massive deal and this huge leap of growth for our company. And what was a huge achievement personally, professionally, and for the company, it fell flat on my heart. And I couldn't tell you why. I just knew that something wasn't aligned. And so that night, upon signing that deal, I went home, and for whatever reason, I Googled Women's Retreat Hawaii. There was no rhyme or reason. I just Googled it. I couldn't sleep that night thinking about this deal, its importance, the work that was to come, all of it, the hustle and grind for the year and a half to close that deal. I was depleted. And amazingly, I found myself on Maui 2 weeks later for Feminine Mastery, a retreat led by Cindy, who I would get to know very well and who would entrust me with her business when she passed away very unexpectedly from cancer last year. And 5 years ago, when I met Cindy and when I stood on Maui and was kind of cradled in its lushness, that's when my LeadHERship awakening truly began. I have always been a seeker. I have always been kind of plugged into my faith, to spirituality, but I had never had the experience of being fully embodied. And yesterday, as I sat through and participated in our beautiful talks and experiences, this theme of embodiment kept coming up. And what I've now come to believe is true is that embodiment and coming back into our body is essential. It is core when we are walking the inner path of leadership, when we are walking the divine feminine. And so on the island of Maui, I kid you not, I did an exercise where I stood in front of the room and I gave each of the women there were 15 of us, all ages, there for different reasons. And I stood in front of the room and I gave each person eye contact. And so much like right now, I'll just look around the room at each of you. I sort of went around just looking at the women. And then Cindy took me out of the room. And together for just 1 minute, she stood with me and had me close my eyes, tune out the world, focus on my body. I mean, I had never done this before, despite doing yoga, despite being an athlete and a soccer player. What she guided me through was an experience that connected me back deeply into my body. And I think we honestly just swayed for a moment like this. And then I walked back into that room and gave each woman eye contact again. And a massive shift had occurred. I now was seeing almost not what was on the outside, but I was seeing directly into their soul, and they were seeing into mine. And when Cindy asked the group, what was your experience of Kayleigh right now? It was jaw-dropping, but I knew what they were going to say because I felt it. Whereas before they had seen someone eager, like on stage, ready to please, giving eye contact, like, all right, we're here, like that kind of energy. The shift that had happened, the sitting back in body, like right now, was they had experienced a deeper core, a deeper essence, a more profound version of myself. And that moment forever changed me. Nothing was ever the same. And while I stayed at the company for another year and a half, I knew that something had shifted and I had felt soul excellence start to percolate within. And so in February of 2020, I made the decision to leave tech, to leave San Francisco, to move across the country to South Florida, and to start exploring, to start writing, to start sharing, to start connecting. And somewhat out of my control, Soul Excellence Publishing was born in September of 2020 with our first book, Leading Through the Pandemic, where I suddenly realized my mission, my purpose, is to amplify the wisdom of conscious, courageous leaders. You see, at that moment in time, I was looking around the world and just starting to feel like the cultural messages we were receiving, the voices that were being amplified, were really missing what we all needed, which was healing, connection, and love. Since then, the company has taken on a life of its own. And I would say even this summit is an extension of that. It's taken on a life of its own, but that's because it's not about me. It's about being able to channel, to call in people, and to watch the beauty unfold as we connect and collaborate. And so for our time this morning, to set the stage for day 2, and for all of the incredible speakers that you'll get to hear from, authors of the book, The Great LeadHERship Awakening, I'd like to read a bit of my intro and then guide you through a short experience to help you connect back into your body. And it's from that place of feeling present, feeling connected, feeling whole, that we begin to notice parts of ourselves, parts of our experience, and parts of everyone that we come in contact with in a new way. So I invite you to listen or to close your eyes. And I think you'll get a sense from me sharing a bit of my story right here. The introduction, what I shared with all of you, is lessons and reminders I need for myself. And you'll hear me use the term girl in this introduction, but I believe it applies to the boy. I believe this applies to women and men. I believe that this applies to all of us who have grown up eager to please, eager to conform, eager to seek love, eager to seek validation, and knowing that it's never enough because it's coming from the wrong place. The $4 million deal, it wasn't enough. The promotions weren't, like, none of this was enough because it was all outer seeking. And if you're here as an executive, as an entrepreneur, as someone who is super, super successful, who can just like create amazing things out of thin air, I see you, I feel you, I am you. And I also know that there's a part of us that longs for deeper connection. So here we go, the context right here in the middle of the summit for the Great LeadHERship Awakening. The era of the good girl is dead. The era of the true girl is dawning. Chances are a good girl lives inside of you, even as the world sees you as an intrepid leader in corporate, founder of your own company, or rising star in your profession. This good girl is the unseen, unheard, unhealed part of you that often wonders, am I worthy? Am I enough? Am I lovable? The good girl overcommits your energy, silences your voice, causes dis-ease in the body, serves everyone else first, and does so with a tight smile. What's more is that the good girl has been beloved by the business world, which has exploited her hard work ethic and maintains the perfect environment for her insecurities to metastasize. For those of us that grew up in corporate America, we entered into a system that was designed to honor the masculine way of business and leadership. There is not anything necessarily wrong with that. It just meant that as women, we had to accept that we would be lauded for our results more than our process, encouraged to dismiss our intuition or emotions because they appeared to slow down progress, and judged for our appearance more than our talent. And sometimes worse. Verbal abuse, discrimination, sexual harassment. You will hear about these experiences from the authors in this book, the speakers here in this summit. Driven to perform a role, the good girl has overextended herself, and yet, the pandemic created a rupture in our collective psyche and revealed just how much women had sacrificed their truest selves at the altar of societal expectations. In this liminal space, the true girl inside each of us must step forward and become the most authentic, unapologetic woman. The good girl within you will tell you to just prioritize differently, to take a vacation, to work on your boundaries. But the solution to this universal pain is to shift the paradigm entirely. Only a completely new perspective will do. And to end with one final paragraph from the introduction. So what exactly is the Great LeadHERship Awakening anyway? The Great LeadHERship Awakening is a movement of women in leadership positions who are fully embodying their truest essence and heralding in a new era of consciousness in business. These women are the way showers among us who have woken up from the fear-driven illusions that have so heavily influenced the world we live in and chosen to break the cycle, one thought, one word, and one action at a time. The Great LeadHERship Awakening is about a deeper awareness of and a renewed appreciation for the inner way of leadership. So I invite you to just take a moment to see what rings true to you and note for yourself what the inner way of leadership means for you. Is this a new concept? Is this something that you've been walking for a while? Is this the path that you've been committed to? And if not, can you use this moment? Can we use this book? Can we use this summit as an opportunity to say, yes, no matter what's going on out here, I will be true to what's right for me. And so often it's hard to know what's right for ourselves when we run on autopilot, when our mind just reacts. And so what I'm going to have us do to kick off this day is come back here, come back home to you. So take just a moment. Let me change up my screen here so I can see all of you too. So take just a moment, closing your eyes if you would like, if you can. And we'll kick off our day with an activation. It's what I wrote here in my chapter, what I've learned from walking this path, from being exposed to feminine mastery. And I write here that the Great LeadHERship Awakening is an awareness that we can each cultivate. So allow me to guide you through this activation, starting first by imagining your root chakra. So if you're doing this live, if you're watching on the replay, close your eyes and just notice your seat. Notice your root. Feel it up against the chair. And we're going to work us from bottom to top and leave you ready and reconnected for the day. So focusing here, this is your strength. You start to feel strong again, but this time the strength is from within, the result of a deeper knowing. Before, your strength came in the form of your accomplishments, reputation, brands, connections, vacation spots, and alma mater. The list was endless of how you acquired your source of strength. But it was never enough. You were never enough. As you take a deep breath, you are now at peace with the truth of what is occurring. You know that true strength lies in your own recognition of the sovereign self, the version of you and us all that can navigate the business world with focus and intensity, but is fueled by love, curiosity, compassion, and worthiness. Take another deep breath in, moving your awareness from your seat to your gut. This is your intuition. You now realize that those little hints in your gut, the ones that your intellect got so used to drowning out with logic and reason, are one of your most powerful guidance tools. You no longer ignore those feelings and instead sit with them, letting your mind call in the deeper message. You are not crazy. You are gifted in the ability to sense, intuit, notice, and influence. On your next breath, move your awareness up to your heart. Place your hands on it if it feels good. You now bring your awareness down from your mind and into your heart before you speak or make a decision. You feel your love emanate out to the world through your beautiful heart and trust with its power you are moving in the destined direction. Your heart is open, but more discerning about who has access to it. It is your most precious gift. And on your next breath, rising up to your throat, 2 more connections, leaning back in your chair, your voice, your throat. You begin to realize that your voice is your most powerful tool, and you get to choose when and how to use it. You begin to notice the words you use to describe yourself or your daily life do not belie the nobility of your essence. You see clearly now how you have silenced yourself to please others, avoid conflict, be seen as too much, or be revealed to be an imposter. But connected to your heart, your voice cannot betray you. Connected only to your mind and its millions of thoughts, your voice is drowned out by fear. Finally, bringing your attention to your crown, to your head. Imagine it with a beautiful bejeweled crown on it. Taking one more breath in and out. Our breath brings us back to the body. Your crown is your divine essence. Finally, you begin to sense as though life is happening for you and with you, even in the moments that bring nothing but pain and grief. You close your eyes and you feel the divine and supernatural all around you. Your entire life becomes a prayer, a meditation, an offering, and you tread gently through the world. You find yourself moving slower than you ever have, while simultaneously having a bigger impact than you ever thought possible. Taking a deep breath, coming fully back into your body. The Great LeadHERship Awakening feels like home. It feels like our natural state. It feels like creating, growing, birthing, nurturing, educating, and mentoring. And maybe you do all of these things, or maybe one phase of this is your deepest expression of your great LeadHERship awakening. Now, taking a moment, another breath. sealing this moment, sealing this sacred space, sealing your intention. Recognizing that it's through these new habits, this new awareness, these new experiences of coming back into the body that we begin to reset, to reprogram, to lead ourselves, our families, our teams, our companies, our communities in a new way. Just like all of the habits we've accumulated for how long your career has lasted, the rushing, the messaging, the back and forth, the energy of this, it will take time for us to sink into this LeadHERship awakening. It will take patience. And it will take more of us stepping forward and saying, hold on, time out. There's a better way, a way that enables each of us to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel connected, and to move forward in a shared vision for humanity, a shared vision for the goals of your company, a vision that you have for your life. And so I welcome you to day 2 of the Great LeadHERship Awakening. I invite you at any moment throughout the day to reset, to take a breath, to turn on some music, to dance for a moment, to get embodied. Like, this is the fun we get to have when we say yes to our own awakening. When we say, yeah, I'm going to be the person that does things a little differently. I'm going to be the person to come onto a summit and close my eyes and drop us down for a moment. I can be that person. I can be the one to make the change in my life. And the impact will be on generations to come. So thank you for joining today's kickoff. I can't wait to see you the rest of the day. In just 30 minutes, Christy will be joining us for Leadership Unicorns, or Leadership Roses and Unicorns. We have a full slate of incredible talks. I'm so grateful for each of you for being here, for being you. And I invite you to connect with the authors, connect with me. This is all about connection. So don't be a stranger. Say hi, find us where we are, and say yes to your own awakening. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you throughout the day.